the United States House of Representatives has passed an amendment to the CAATSA Countering American Adversary through Sanctions Act to provide a waiver on sanctions over India. So let me first tell you what is CAATSA, why CAATSA has come into force, and what do you mean by waiver for India, and why America may impose sanctions on India under CAATSA. So the Countering American Adversaries through Sanctions Act is an American law which came into force in 2017. So according to this law, if any country of the world has relations, especially the military and defense relations, with American adversaries like Iran, North Korea or Russia, these countries will invite punitive sanctions. So it is a rather unilateral act because America has very good relations with many of Indian adversaries. The most notable among them is Pakistan. Pakistan is the principal adversary of India. But United States has been building up the military of Pakistan. Pakistan was part of the US-led military alliances in the past, and Pakistan is a trusted ally of the United States, and Pakistan was a frontline ally of United States in the war against terror, so-called war against terror. So, but still America is a major power, it is a unilateral power, it assumes unilateral power. So therefore it passed a law which says that if any country of the world establishes relations, especially the military and defense, America will impose sanctions on them. It can be economic sanctions, it can be financial sanctions. So the problem has come when India entered into a deal to procure S-400 missile defense system from Russia. Well, Russia has been a trusted defense partner of India right from the beginning. So right from the Soviet Union days. So India wanted to buy the missile defense system, the ultra-modern sophisticated missile defense system called S-14. So not only India signed a deal, the supply of S-400 missile defense system has also begun. So it has been speculated that America may impose sanctions under CAATSA for India buying S-400 missile defense system from Russia. Well, there are two other instances also. Turkey purchased S-400 missile defense system from India, and the US imposed sanctions on Turkey despite Turkey being the member of the American-led North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So United States did not even spare its military ally, Turkey, when it composed to imposing sanctions under CAATSA. Well, it is also a fact that the Turkey is moving towards Russia. So in the recent past, despite being part of the American-led NATO, so in the Syrian war, Turkey was cooperating with Russia, and more recently on the Ukraine war also, though Turkey condemned Russian military action, but refused to sign the US-led sanctions on Russia. So, but still, it's still technically the member of NATO, and United States imposed sanctions on Turkey for procuring S-400 missile defense system from Russia. The second country was China. So China also procured S-400 missile defense system, and America has imposed sanctions on China under CAATSA. So therefore, given the fact that the United States imposed sanctions on both China and Turkey for buying the S-400 missile defense system, it was intensely speculated that India will also invite sanctions under CAATSA. Well, India was negotiating for a waiver. India was demanding a waiver, and because India believes that it has a genuine right to have an independent foreign policy. But in the past, India succumbed to the US pressures. Let me give you a classic example. There was a time when 10% of India's crude oil requirements were met by Iran. Iran oil was cheaper. We had a rupee trade agreement with Iran, which means we pay for Iranian oil imports in rupees, and Iran can only use these rupees to buy goods and services from India. So it was a very beneficial arrangement for India. But unfortunately, America threatened India, warned India, it imposed pressure on India, and ultimately India has brought down its imports from Iran to zero. Similarly, India was was given the contract. India was involved in the construction of a strategically important Chabahar port to bypass Pakistan to have access to Central Asia. Unfortunately, again, owing to the pressure from the United States, India has almost withdrawn from the Chabahar port also. So given this background, it was intensely speculated that America may impose sanctions under CAATSA and India may succumb. But India did not succumb to American pressure. Despite threats of imposing CAATSA, India went on with a procurement of S-400 missile defense system. And more recently, on the Russian war in Ukraine, India refused to accede to the US request and US demand. President Biden has also expressed concern over India's stand. Though India has not explicitly supported Russian military operation on Ukraine, but we refuse to condemn Ukraine in the language which the US and Europe want us to do. And India has also decried this. India did not join the sanctions. India continued to have robust trade relations with Russia. And in fact, much to the chagrin of United States, we are even buying oil from Russia. So Russia is offering oil at a discounted price. So given this background, there was a speculation in the air that America may not give a waiver under CAATSA. So India was asking for exemption from CAATSA. But today, the US House of Representatives passed an amendment giving waiver for India under CAATSA. But this is only an amendment passed by the House of Representatives. This doesn't mean a law. This doesn't mean a bill. An Indian origin American Congressman Ro Khanna moved this amendment in the House of Representatives. The next course of action, it will go to the Senate, and even if Senate approves, ultimately it is the President Biden who has to sign the waiver. So we will have to wait and see will the President Biden provides the waiver to India. But there is an increasing chorus in the United States for giving a waiver to India. The reason is because India is a very important strategic defense partner with America. It is true that India-Russian defense cooperation is a long-standing one. We still have a robust defense relations with Russia. But it is equally true that India has established a good defense military relations with United States and its allies like Israel and France. So India and United States signed a strategic partnership agreement. So India is increasingly deeply embedded into the American military strategic relationship. So India is part of the American-led anti-China axis called the Quad. USA, Japan, Australia and India are part of Quad. And more recently, we have also become part of the US proposed I2U2, which means India, Israel, United States, United Arab Emirates. So these four countries have come together to form I2U2, and the United Arab Emirates ambassador to India described this as a West Asian Quad. So we are increasingly coming into the American scheme of things and challenging China both in the security aspects like Quad and also in the economic aspect in the form of I2U2. So therefore, in the Indo-Pacific region, this region was earlier called as Asia-Pacific, and America rechristened this region as Indo-Pacific. And in this Indo-Pacific, America has a serious adversary called China. Even the recent NATO Madrid summit also talked about the Chinese challenge in the Indo-Pacific region to the US and Europe. So United States want India to counter China in the Indo-Pacific region. So if United States imposes sanctions on India under the CAATSA, then this may endanger the American strategic goal of aligning with India against China. So that is the major reason. Secondly, this may even jeopardize Indo-American strategic relations and defense military cooperation. So given the American interest, there is an increasing chorus demanding waiver for India. So it's not that India is just asking. So it is as Ro Khanna who piloted this amendment in the House of Representatives. So it is in the interest of the United States to provide waiver to India from the sanctions under Countering American Adversaries through Sanctions Act, CAATSA.